1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Royal Blue Podcast. Wednesday show. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hello and welcome to the Royal Blue Podcast. It's the Wednesday show. We are live and I am your host, Ian Kroll. Joining me in the Royal Blue studio today to talk all things Everton, to talk all things 2025-2026 Premier League fixtures. We've got Chris Beasley and Tony Scott. It's a trio back again. Chris, how are things? All good?
Yeah, just get me head around it all in a bit of a spin really after that early start this morning. Getting up at 5:30 and then obviously as it works the fixtures come out for everyone at 9 o'clock, but we were working on those from just after 7 a.m. So I don't know, it's about tea time for me now.
you had your butties about 8 a.m, didn't you?
Probably not quite that, but yeah, it was. It was. It's been a while. It was a while back. I started on them. I was ready to have them about 10.
Yeah,
I held back to about 11.
I made sure strategically I got a sausage butty on the way in, and I'm starting to feel a little bit hungry now. So after we've done this pod, I'll make sure I get
a new meal. He's having an extra meal in the day.
So, our things all good?
Yeah, good.
Took a little bit of stick. Sorry, last time you were on the pod, didn't you?
I did. God, it's always
in the comments.
Normally about Beto or the recruitment or something like that. But listen, it's the beauty of podcasts and football and opinions, isn't it? That's why we love the game.
Everyone's got an opinion.
Tony's got, he can give it and take it.
Yes. You only have to look at my mentions to say that and take it. There's a reason I haven't got a stand of air, bees, tell you. No, we're looking forward to the season when the fixtures come out. It's you look at you're playing on the opening game, when the Merseyside Derbies are, your Christmas period, you were playing on the final game. But I think lots of Evertonians today, they looked at, who we playing on the opening day, but more importantly, who we facing down at the Hill Dickinson Stadium.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, obviously, today's agenda, of course, Everton's Premier League fixtures have been released, and we are going to react to that breaking news on this podcast. As always, give us a thumbs up, drop us a like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Get your comments in. As mentioned, we are live, so join in the pod. Chris, we might as well get straight into it. We'll come on to the first home game in a sec, but obviously Everton play Leeds away from home, Monday Night Football, 8 p.m. It's a promoted side, I guess. Well, it is a promoted side, but it's going to be a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah, they always say, you don't want to go to a newly promoted side first day of the season, and unfortunately, it's FA Cup semi-finals against Tottenham apart. It has not been a happy hunting ground for the Blues, and to be fair, David Moyes obviously ended the drought there back in 2002, Wayne Rooney inspired goal there. I think it was Everton's first league win there for 51 years at the time. So it just shows you they've not had a great deal of success across the Pennines there at Elland Road. But it'll be bouncing. It'll be a big occasion, won't it? Whatever happens, their fans will be well up for it, and I'm sure the travelling Evertonians were. So yeah, it is a baptism of fire. It certainly wouldn't be the opening game I would have chosen if I'd have been doing the fixtures, but obviously we're not, and that's what I've got to start with. I mean, on the flip side of it, you got to look at the case that I've just seen the bookies odds actually, and it's such as the way things are now. All three promoted clubs are odds on to go straight back down again, and that'd be the third year in a row if that happens. So you can look at it two ways. On the one hand, you probably don't want to be playing them first off, but I mean, it could actually be an opportunity for Everton to I'm going to say stamp their Premier League authority on them. But we at this stage of proceedings, we don't really know who's going to be in that Everton side come mid-August.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? Obviously, a lot of work to be done before August. So one thing that could potentially be happening is Jack Harrison will be playing for Leeds in a white shirt, playing against Everton, a team that he's played for the past 2 years. That'll be an interesting moment.
Sure, when the fixtures come to Everton's head office, you might have got an Angus Kinnear looking at them straight away and going, I'm going back so soon. So yeah, we'll be coming up against obviously Jack Harrison. That's providing he stays at Leeds as well, because obviously he's been surplus to requirements there the past 2 seasons, committing to Everton on loan. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of permutations in terms of players who play for both clubs, etc. And that added on factor of being the Monday night football game as well, which I'm sure Sky Sports looked at that and go, right, that's going to be a red hot atmosphere at there at Ellen Road. And Everton will be one of the... I think if you to ask lots of pundits this season, I think how Everton recruit, they could be one of the dark horses, mainly because Moyes, the new stadium, and how well he finished last season as well. So I think Sky have probably factored that into the occasion. Go, right, Leeds, Everton, this will be a really good game. 2 teams going at it hammer and tongue, and I'm sure it'll be a good game under the lights at Ellen Road with a red hot atmosphere.
Yeah, absolutely. Interestingly, Chris, Leeds were, well, linked, or not linked, but reportedly close to sacking the manager, Daniel Farke, after the game promotion to the Championship. That would have been a bit of a crazy one, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? After you think... He's been seen as a promotion specialist. He's got Norwich City up in the past, and maybe they were thinking they're on to bigger and better things in their eyes with the investment they've had and the way that they're looking at things. But I think that'd be a bit unfortunate before a ball is kicked. But it's a ruthless business now. So with Big Ange, John Postecoglou at Tottenham Hotspur, he ends a trophy drought, and albeit it was an absolute wretched season for them in the Premier League. He gets the push, and Farke's still there at the moment. But yeah, I mean, one of those, I suppose, if they don't get off to a decent start, I imagine he'd be feeling the pressure.
And there was a lot of speculation. So a couple of weeks back, that Everton had requested the first 3 games to be played away from home. I know Joe Thomas, our colleague, put down those reports, said that wasn't the case. So it's away first, which away last as well. That's a crazy one, isn't it? You don't usually get that. It's usually one and the other, isn't it? Each season.
Lifting up the Premier League trophy at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Steady.
I think, listen, you got the old narrative, isn't it? You play everyone home and away. And I think with the Leeds one, I think if Everton, obviously, there's going to be red hot there for the opening game, isn't it? Monday night, under the lights. Everyone's going to be watching as well, because the build up, everyone's played, then it's just Leeds and Everton on the Monday night. So there's going to be, the viewing figures will be through the roof. And I think if Everton can actually ride out the first, you're going to say the first 15, 20 minutes, quite in that crowd, if you get an early goal, their crowd's going to be all over them, especially when you said, obviously, there's you said rumours about the speculation surrounding the current manager as well. There's a lot of change there at Leeds in the background as well. So there's a lot of players there that are Championship quality as well, by the way. And I know we're looking at our squad and it's paper thin at the moment. I get that. But they were in the Championship for a reason, and they're not that good of a side, to be honest. And I'll be surprised if Everton don't get anything from that game, even judging from, we could field a 11 out now with the 16 we've currently got in the squad. I'd fancy us to get a result there against Leeds. And I'm like Chris, I think that the 3 teams that have coming up got a hell of a job to stay in this division. It's just getting bigger and bigger, and they're just probably hoping that for the likes of a Brentford, that they could just fall with their manager leaving or something like that. Just hoping for that, because the gap is just... Obviously, my boss is a Leeds fan. I was like explaining to him, like, who are you going to finish above? Who are you going to finish above next year? Give me a team you think you have... And he named, obviously, the 2 teams that he's come up with. I said, well, give me that third. And you couldn't say... Like, Man United and Tottenham finish 4th from bottom, 5th from bottom, and you're not going to finish above them. And then you add, obviously, the likes of Everton and Palace and all them other teams. You're not going to finish above them either.
Wolves finish strong.
Wolves finish strong. So you go on, they're not going to finish it. So it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, unless Leeds go, right, there's 200 million, but they're not going to give 200 million to a manager who they're thinking on sacking before the ball's kicked. So I think Everton can go there. I think it's a good opportunity for Everton to go there. We've seen Ipswich play the opening game of the fixture last season against Manchester United. I remember rightly, and Ipswich didn't get a result. Southampton took an age to win their first game. Theoretically, it had to be us. But no, I think them teams now, the gulf's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I think that generalisation of, you don't want to promote sides, especially away from home, I think it's a bit of a myth these days. You can go to these sides and comprehensively beat them.
I think Leeds would be one that I would have picked if it was at home. I think from your point of view, what you were saying with regards to not picking a newly promoted side away from home, the crowd's going to be up for it, isn't it? And it's just how, the players, the Everton players deal with that atmosphere. For me, I think it's you don't want to be playing a City, you don't want to be, obviously not going to play Liverpool, but you don't want to be playing Arsenal or Chelsea your first game, do you really?
The quarter of the team's going out the Premier League already.
Exactly.
So there's only an handful to pick from, really, from then, isn't
it? Chris, we'll talk about the first home game then. Obviously, it's going to be historic. It's going to come as Everton's second Premier League game of the season. Currently scheduled for Saturday, August 23rd at 3 p.m, but obviously subject to change for television. And, jokingly, me and Tony were just talking before we came on that TNT Sports maybe teased a possible fixture change for their channel on their social media accounts, and they've deleted the tweet since. So it was basically just promoting the fact that Everton are playing Brighton. There wasn't anything to say that TNT have got that fixture. But I guess from a historical point of view, Brighton are going to be the first home game at Bramley Moor, at Hill Dickinson.
Did they have the early Saturday slot? TNT, do
yes, they do.
That's what you're hoping, isn't it?
That's what I'm hoping for, Absolute disaster if it changes to a Sunday.
We have to think of Mr. Crowley. So, never mind the other 52,000 Evertonians. Yeah, absolutely historic. And there's a symmetry there, isn't there? Because obviously it was Everton-Brighton was the first game of the final season at Goodison Park. So, on the same, and the sort of, I was going to say, from the opposite point of view, whereas that kind of set the tone for what was a really sort of disappointing first half of the season until they had to change of manager. The final year at Goodison Park, in the end, Brighton, was it 3-0, was it? In the end, they ended up winning comfortably, and I was like, here we go. From the Evertonians' point of view, is this what we've got to look forward to? You want to flip that round, and Brighton, you were here at the new stadium, and you want to be getting off to a flyer, don't you? And sort of finding your feet quickly in the new surroundings, because it can be a huge asset for Everton. I mean, people are talking about how the likes of Arsenal struggled, I think, when they first went from Highbury to the Emirates, but this is just a new breed of stadium. It's not like that first generation of new stadiums where a lot of them were like the big bowls, not even the West Ham, which is obviously an extreme example because it's a former Olympic stadium, but even the ones that were football purpose built, the stands were further away from the pitch, and they weren't able to replicate those old atmospheres that they'd had at the old ground. Everton are going to have the best of both worlds there with this one. They've got the really steep south stand, obviously the safe standing in there as well. The most ever the biggest regular crowds they'll have played in front of in the club's history. I know Goodison's record attendance is over 78,000. Used to regularly get crowds of over 70,000 in the post-war era, but over an actual season, Everton have only had over 50,000 as an average attendance once, and it's for the 62-63 title-winning side. So you're playing in front of the biggest regular crowds in your history. So it's a massive opportunity for Everton, and to have that intimidating, tight atmosphere, basically recreating Goodison, but in a modern surrounding. So hopefully everyone's feeling better about their matchday experience anyway, and gets used to it down there by the Bramley Moor dock. I think it could be really a big weapon for Everton going forward, and hopefully they can get off to a flying and sort of, I said, make that a real sort of home advantage from early on in the season.
Absolutely. I mean, so we had a little joke before we came on with regards to Goodison. What was your joke? You're going to say it? You want to say it?
Like, no, someone said, like, we're looking at these fixtures now, and all we're thinking about is like the new stadium and playing there, and now you're going to get there. And then someone said, like, Goodison, what's that? And it just resembles for me. He's like your ex-girlfriend, you know what I mean? Like, it's gone now. It's like, it's old news. It's like forgotten about. And now we're looking forward to a new life at a new era at the football club. And listen, I'm super excited for it. And I had a conversation with an Evertonian this week and said, what you want to do is you want to try and replicate Goodison Park at the Bramley Moor. It's going to be so difficult. I go, we only won 5 games there all season at Goodison last year. Yeah. So you don't want that. You want to be adding more wins there after Bramley Moor. I'm like Chris, it's like, there's going to be like 54,000 there every other week. And I'm so looking forward to it, because it seems to me it's like a new era, but it's like, I don't know if it's like a new wave of Evertonians now, because we've seen the scenes outside Goodison on the final day. And I was like gobsmacked, and obviously I spoke about it in depth in the last podcast I was on with you, and I was in awe. Because I never take Everton's support for granted, and I was going, and we're always bigging it up in terms of like one of the best in the country. I was going, wow, this is just incredible. And I couldn't get my head around it. And to see all them Evertonians that were locked outside Goodison on the final day, they're going to get their opportunity in August to go and watch Everton at a world-class stadium. Don't forget, we've got a game 2 weeks before again against Roma on the 9th. So we can familiar ourselves with this as well. So I think David Moyes is going to take every opportunity this summer. Yeah, we've got the pre-season in America, and we've got obviously to play Accrington and Blackburn. But I think he's going to take advantage of the Bramley Moor as much as possible by having training sessions down there, because you don't want Everton, especially with the new players that we've currently got, that they're going to have to familiarise themselves with the football club itself, but also with this new stadium as well. So for any new player that's coming in, they're going to get to have new teammates, a new manager, a new football club, and a new stadium as well. And that could be a plus point. It could be coming in blind, but it could be a bit of a negative as well, where you're going to have to obviously work out what your life's going to be at Everton. So yeah, a lot of plus points, but I'm looking forward to this Brighton game. I'm like you, I think it will be changed. I think the TV will be all over it, whether it be Sky or TNT. We know Sky have got like 80% of the fixtures now ahead of TNT Sports. So if Sky wanted it, I probably expect that Sky would take it. But on the flip side of that, I look at the likes of the Emirates and all these other games that they had their first game at, and they were all televised. So a world-class stadium like that on the waterfront with Everton playing their first game, it's an ideal opportunity for their viewing figures to, right, let's go and get it.
It's difficult to say, isn't it? Because you try to go off what has happened in previous seasons, but with you saying Sky have got 80% of the fixtures, with a Friday night game and a Monday night game being the previous week, do you think they'll do the exact same for the second game of the season as well? But they might need, just because there's so much more.
What they look at it, and I hate to be blunt here, they look at it as viewing figures.
Yeah, of course.
They look at each figure. Why do you think Man United are at Arsenal Sunday opening game? They're not leaving that on a Saturday 3 p.m. They're going, right, more fans, there's more Arsenal fans, and more Manchester United fans all over the world than most clubs. Get that on Sky. That's it. So what they look at, they go, right, yeah, they will take into consideration the new stadium, but is Everton Brighton going to attract the viewing figures that may be possible on that opening weekend? Now, you look at the opening weekends when Everton play Brighton, is there any big fixtures that jump out? Newcastle play Liverpool, so I'm guessing that could be televised on the same weekend as well. Manchester City play Tottenham on the same weekend.
There's the Sunday sorted, Sky.
There's the Sunday
sorted.
So they, as much as like it pains me to say it, they'll just look at that as viewing figures. Yeah. What's going to generate the most income? Viewing figures and advertising. So hopefully, fingers crossed, if he an Evertonian working at Sky or TNT go, right, let's get Everton on their first fixture at the Bramley Moor.
I'm trying to get my head around this statement from Mark Foster, who says, in reference to TNT Sports deleting the tweet that they put out, they would not have deleted the tweet if the game is not going to be on TNT Sports. So is he saying there that it is going to be on, he thinks it is going to be on TNT Sports then?
Okay. I don't know. I think they've put it out. They put the tweet out, TNT, and then they've had a bit of a backlash in terms of, why is this going to be on Sky? Well,
is this going to be on TNT?
But don't forget, TNT literally described what is actually happening. It's at 3 o'clock. It's on a Saturday. Yeah. And this is the date. They didn't say it's going to be live on TNT.
Yeah.
So I think they've just deleted it on the apprehension of all the fans and the backlash going, well, don't read too much into it. Listen, they're probably just out.
Maybe it was a little tease.
Yeah, maybe. And you know what? Hopefully it is on televised, because you're going to have 54,000 there. There's going to be hundreds of thousands of Evertonians all around the globe that will want to see that televised. Yeah. Now, they'll get the option to see it anyway on, obviously, their TV channels in their respective countries. But not everyone who supports Everton in and around Liverpool and England will get the opportunity to watch Everton against Brighton at the Bramley Moor. So hopefully it is televised for that sake as well.
I think for the first game as well, the night games will come. That'll come throughout the season and beyond. I think for the first game, for me personally, it would be nice if it was a day one, where you could make the day of
3 o'clock Saturday.
Well, 3 o'clock, 12:30, as long as it's a Saturday. That's fine.
I just hope you get to watch. I hope we got a telly in that airport lounge, wherever you are.
I might still be on the plane, so that might be an issue in itself.
I think it's so selfish of Everton to not to speak to Ian and sort of. So
I think so. I tell you what, though, it would also be nice if TNT Sport had the last Goodison game, that they have the first, Hill Dickinson game as well. I think that would be nice as well.
Sky will just be all over it, won't they?
No, not with the fixtures that you. Newcastle, Liverpool's nailed on to be
Tottenham City.
that's the 2 o'clock and the R4 kickoff. So
Arsenal Leeds.
That'll be, if it's the Monday night, that'll be the Monday night one. I've just sorted the schedule out straight away.
West Ham Chelsea that weekend
can be
as
the
well.
Friday.
Big London derby.
So in a way, it's only big for the Everton fans, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
That Everton Brighton is not necessarily the biggest game that weekend.
But generally,
so Sky, you're listening here. Come on.
It's a historic moment. I think it's going to be on somewhere along the line, whether it's TNT, Sky. I reckon there's a good chance it's going to be.
We'll be there covering it, won't we? Yeah, we'll be there covering it.
Let's look at the first 5 games then, which includes a Merseyside Derby, which is a very early Merseyside Derby. You don't usually get that until at least October, November, December.
Are you back in time for that one?
I should be back in time for that.
That's still holiday,
but it's away, so I probably won't be going to. I won't be going to that. Obviously, the home derby will be is in April, isn't it?
Not till week.
So I mean. Tough run for the first 5 games, Chris, or would you say compared it to last season? I guess we all thought we'd at least pick up a couple of points, and we went 4 games without a win.
Yeah, it was the problem, wasn't it? Everyone kind of looked at
5,
it.
in fact, sorry,
last year, didn't he? And don't forget, included 2 games when they went 2-0 up and lost 3-2 back to back. So it was a nightmare, wasn't it?
Still having nightmares.
Yeah. Oh, it was one of the 31st of August was it the Bournemouth game. I mean, I went early doors because I'm working, obviously doing the game for the paper every week. I took all 3 of my children, what was supposed to be their last ever trip to Goodison, and it was a chastening experience. Yeah, they were going,
character building.
They always win, Dad. They were saying when we come, when it was like 2-0 up with them, in like 85 minutes.
Anyone who ever tells you otherwise, that's not character building. Is a lie. Honestly, it's brilliant because it just sets them up for all life's disappointments. They'll be used to it. It's great.
Yeah, it was so bad. They ended up taking 2 of them to the Peter FA Cup game, so it took me dad for his final game for that one, and then. Would have been all 3, but my eldest was working. So, I mean, it was for all Evertonians, it was chasing him, wasn't it? That nightmare start. So, a year ago, and we'd looked at those fixtures, and we weren't getting cocky, but I think everyone was like, it's a decent start, this for Everton. So, you've got to be careful what you say when you look at these fixtures. And, like I said, it often ends up being that if it's a supposed daunting run, it doesn't end up as bad as you thought, like kind of last December where they picked up some decent points in tough circumstances, whereas everyone was thinking a year ago that was an easy start. I'd say this one probably looks somewhere in the middle. Obviously, like I said, we've mentioned already the Leeds and the Brighton, and then we've got the back-to-back fixtures, isn't it? The 2 West Midlands sides, Wolves and Villa either side of the international break. We've got to remember there's a week off in between that, and then, as you say, the derby. So it's somewhere in the middle. And with a new look side, it's difficult really to get too far ahead of yourself and making any sort of predictions because you don't even know who's going to be in the Everton side, or maybe it's the opposition to a certain extent. But I think if you're looking at it, it's probably. It provides you with an opportunity, but it doesn't look too easy or too hard either way. It's one of those that could go either way, and it's up for you to sort of take the initiative in that respect.
Well, it's what you said before. The hard ones are never as hard as what they say, and the easy ones is never as easy. What they say, just to clarify, Mark has said that he does think it's going to be on TNT, so come on.
Can I also say, Ian, just before quickly, if we get on the Brighton one, obviously it will be scheduled around that weekend, whichever way it will be, the 23rd or the 24th. It's Beatles weekend in Liverpool that weekend as well, so there'll be a lot of gigs and concerts going on down at the Pier Head.
Busy.
And my thoughts on Liverpool's transport system. So with the first hit of 54,000 hitting the Bromley Moor at once on the same weekend as the Beatles Festival, we shall be watching very, very closely.
As long as the trains are running.
We shall see.
I don't know, maybe Mr. McCartney might show his face. I don't know. Has he come for the opening? I'm not sure.
Might have to get Steve Rotherham back on the pod.
Get the Lars on.
First 5 then, so
I
guess it's... let's read them out so people know. Leeds away, Brighton home, Wolves away, Aston Villa at home, and then Liverpool away. It's very tough to assess because, again, a lot of work to be done in the transfer window before we can even give a prediction or a verdict. But you just want to get off to a fairly decent start, don't you? Especially with Liverpool, at the end of that month.
Yeah, well, the same Liverpool sides. I know, albeit away from home, we arguably should have got something there last season. If we had missed a couple of good chances, didn't we, to take the lead? Yeah. Get me started, bees. No, but you look at the other teams as well. Leeds, they were Championship side last season. Brighton, they finished 8th, was it? Mid-table.
That's where they were in the end.
We beat them away from home last season. Wolves, we beat them 4-0 at Goodison. Aston Villa, I think it's going to be a tough one, but I think with Villa, I think we'll probably see the next couple of weeks they're going to have to sell a lot of their big players. So I think we'll totally see a different Aston Villa side than what we've seen at Goodison this season. I think it was Moyes' first game, wasn't it? Yeah. At Goodison Park last season. And then we've obviously got Liverpool that I've just touched on, West Ham as well, Crystal Palace on October as well. That will probably get moved as well because it depends on how UEFA will deal with Crystal Palace's European qualification at the moment. So that'll probably get moved to a Sunday if Crystal Palace get there all clear to play in the Europa League. So that'll probably get changed as well. So there's going to be a lot of permutations. I know that we play Chelsea and Tottenham as well this season directly after they've played in the Champions League games as well, which will help Everton. So you can count ourselves fortunate on that. And you know what? A season where if you get your recruitment right and you have no Europe, well, look what happened to Nottingham Forest this season. You can go boom, 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 and you find yourself right up there in the mix if you recruit right. And obviously the teams picking the wits against each other in the Champions League. Don't forget, there's going to be best part of 8 teams, if I'm right, playing in Europe this season as well for the first time in a while, which could arguably help the likes of Everton and other teams that are in mid-table going, hang on, well, there's going to be other teams prioritising trophies. And I think a lot of teams will, because of the likes of Newcastle win a trophy this season for the first time in a while, Tottenham, Crystal Palace. I think a lot of these teams are going to go on with a lot of pressure on the likes of United and Tottenham this season, considering where they finished. I think they'll obviously make prioritised trophies, whereas we can maybe find ourselves slipping away up the table. Fingers crossed we can.
Gaspipe in the comments, so says we're going to win the league. So
I told you, Tottenham away, lifting the title.
I'll tell you one thing that I did notice, and Chris, this is probably the same for most seasons because there's always international breaks, there's always a bit stop-start, but I think this might be slightly different. There's only 9 games, Premier League games, in the first 3 months.
All right, with the international breaks.
Is that normal? I mean, maybe like
spot there.
splitting hairs. There might be like a 10, 11, but 9 in the first 3 months seems quite low, doesn't it?
There'll be League Cup games in there as well.
It does. I mean, if banging on again about it again with me book, but when I was doing Spirit of the Blues, remember when it was the 1970 World Cup? Yeah, and they sort of truncated the season over 8 months because they had the World Cup in Mexico in 1970. I think Everton played 7 games by the end of August that year, so it shows you how it's come full circle since then. But yeah, because you obviously you have the international break, 1 in September, 1 October, 1 November, don't you? So you've lost 3 weekends.
They are standard, aren't they? Just looking at it on a graphic, it just 9 games in 3 months.
Well, we have as many fixtures in December than we do in the 2 months combined. Of 6 games in December.
Yeah, December's always busy, isn't it?
Yeah. Bit strange this season just gone, wasn't it? Whereas in March they hardly had a game, and with them being knocked out the FA Cup, and it ended up going away, didn't they? As well was to United out of Emirates. So I don't know. Maybe that's good in terms of if it is quite a lot of a new look squad and a lot of change of personnel. It's not like they're having to hit the ground running and 2 games a week for the first few weeks. Gives them a bit more of a sort of balanced period where it's not too intense to start with. That might help, a new look side, as Toe's been saying there. I mean, we can tell the fixtures have come out today. There, we've got people saying going to win the league, and like Toe's got us climbing up that table there because everyone else is bothered about Europe.
Exactly.
Well, maybe it could. Maybe the stars could align. Yeah, maybe the stars could align. No, I'm not saying anything on those. I'm not saying Champions League push or anything like that. But why not think that this is an opportunity to do, a lot better than you have done in recent seasons?
You'll be criticised for being too optimistic now.
I know, can't win, can I?
No.
I think as well, the first 3 games and then the Wolves being the final one of those 3 is Saturday the 30th. And then you've just got seemingly a huge break until the Villa game on September the 13th. So you just don't want to be going away from that Wolves game, getting beat. Don't know what's going to happen, obviously, in the first 2 games, but you just don't want to go into that first international break on a bit of a downer, do you?
No, then you probably, I don't know what day the transfer deadline is this year, but you'll have that as well, won't you? So,
1st of September, I think.
It'd be a chance to take stock. You don't know, do you, where they're going to be? You certainly don't want to be going on the back of a negative result. Like I said a year ago, the fact that they started with those 4 straight defeats, it just left them playing catch up for the rest of the season. And it's often the way if you get off to a decent start. I know in 04-05 they got beaten the first day against Arsenal, but then they really sort of pushed on after that, and that was sort of the springboard for them finishing 4th that season. I know they tailed off a bit after Christmas and things obviously got tough, but they held out for that 4th spot because they'd had a decent run throughout the autumn.
I like the fact that the away Merseyside Derby's first. Get it out the way. Get it out early.
Take the general beating that we get.
Yeah, and then just move on then. Move ahead. Any, like, dreaded months of the season that you've seen there, Toe? Because there was certainly one last season, wasn't it? There was the April one, which was tough, but obviously it was fortunate that we were kind of safe by then anyway. But usually there's a run of like 4 or 5 fixtures in a season where you go, oh, that looks a bit tough. Doesn't seem to be the case this time. The only one I'd probably flag is, I'd say, from the mid to end of February to maybe like the end of March. Looks a bit tough. It's got United, Newcastle, then there's Burnley in the middle of it, and a midweek game, and then you've got Arsenal, Chelsea, and then Liverpool follows after Brentford after that as well. So,
do you know what? I don't think there is for Everton, and the reason why I'm saying that, because I'm confident, because obviously Moyes is the manager, and he knows what managing Everton's about. And I look how Everton finished the season last season with like players that we deemed, and probably David Moyes deemed, aren't good enough to actually take Everton to the next level. And not many teams will go to St James's Park on the final day with them needing to win to qualify for the Champions League. Everton went there with a patched up side and beat them and played well, arguably one of the best games of the season. And not just that, week before that, they went to Fulham and beat them in their own backyard. Everton took some big scalps towards the back end of last season. So I think that's going to fill David Moyes and the rest of the players there with a lot of confidence that if we can add 2 or 3 really quality additions to the squad, you look at them teams, you go, well, hang on, I've just rattled them off, like Leeds, basically a championship side, just come up, they could be absolutely anything, but the law of averages going back on the last 2 seasons is that they will probably struggle. And then you've got the likes of Brighton, which we beat away from home last season. Wolves, we beat at Goodison. Then you got, obviously, Liverpool, which we took a point off at Goodison. West Ham, we got a point. Palace, we beat. Manchester City, we even went to the Etihad under Sean Dyche and got a point in that circumstances. Beat Tottenham. So all these run games that we've got, I think we'll go into a lot of games this season, Evertonians, and not obviously expectations will be, that's different in terms of what David Moyes wants, but it's refreshing to hear him when he spoke after being awarded his OBE last week, and he said he wants Europe. He says, I'm not beating around the bush here. He says, I'm not here. I'm not going to be here for a short period of time. Now I want Europe. And it's so refreshing that a manager's come in that he's got arguably a worse squad than what absolutely majority of managers have had previously. But the squad that he had at the time, and he used to know who we could sign. So for him to come out with them quotes with basically 16 players in the squad at the moment, got 4 defenders, got 3 midfielders, got about 2 or 3 wingers, and a couple of centre forwards. That's all we've got, the squad, because obviously all the players go back from their loan. Their loan deals expire next week. So to make them comments as well has raised expectations. So I think Everton fans are going to get on board with that as well. Go, hang on, well, the manager's there. He's quoting Europe for us with the patched up side. And I think that's going to be confidence when we're looking at fixtures going, well, why can't we beat Brighton at home? Why can't we go to Wolves? Or why can't we beat Villa at home? I think the problem for Everton is that if they don't get a positive result against Brighton on the first game, then they don't play again at the Bromley Moor till the 13th of September.
That's what I'm
it's like a good 3-week break where you'll be itching to get back at the stadium. Do you know what I mean?
That's a tough game.
Exactly. So hopefully, I think there may be a League Cup game in there in between. So there probably will be. So I think, again, that'll be an opportunity for a lot of Evertonians that aren't lucky enough to get to the first game against Brighton. They'll have the opportunity in the League Cup game. Hopefully we'll get a home tie that'll be the case. So yeah, there's a lot of permutations, but I think expectations the big thing then we're looking at their fixtures. It's not games last season when we had the previous manager going, I'll take a point there and I'll take a, and that's where it was, and that's just where the kind of manager set that tone right throughout the football club. But expectations have been risen now, and that's down to the manager. I think Evertonians are optimistic about this season. I don't care who we play. I'd fancy Everton to get results against anyone this season.
Just looking to the comments, Tommy Colduck says the season looks so much more spread out evenly than normal, which we've kind of touched on. But Chris, I guess one thing that you did flag earlier, one thing that's not spread out is our fixtures with Nottingham Forest. Who we play twice in December.
Yeah.
A space of probably,
Festive
what is it?
Forest.
27 days, something like that. It's a bit of a crazy one, isn't it?
It's a bit of a mad one, because you actually look at the fixtures in most of the European leagues, what they tend to do is they just repeat the second half of the season as the first one. So you've got your, whether it's 17 or 19 games or whatever, and then they just play them again, flip them round and play it in the same order. But it's always been the case here in England. We're a bit more random than that. I don't know what the reasons are for that, but
the police and transport,
perhaps there's things like that. Yeah,
events on in the area.
Yeah,
literally only 3 games in between both of those fixtures.
Yeah, it's almost like a two-legged cup tie, isn't it? Something like that. But yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I've got a piece going up later today on fixture facts checked and stuff like that, and like we're talking about whether it's, I was going to say Goodison then, but whether Everton are at first home or not in the first derby of the season, or the way that goes, or they had a mad run, didn't they, where them and Newcastle played a load of midweek games against each other for several seasons, and then now for the second year in the run, they're both weekend ones. So we take a bit of a look at that, at the fact that Forest, because I think since Forest came up, they've already played them twice in December anyway, but as you say, it's a bit of a mad one how they play them twice in the space of 3 weeks. It's something like 24 days or something like that. But just going back to what you're saying about the runs and stuff like that, what would be tough is just one that I noticed as you're talking about with that away game at Arsenal in March, and they actually then play for all of last season's top 4 in the space of 6 games. But the thing is, after that trip to Arsenal, at least the Chelsea, Liverpool and Man City, they're all at the new stadium, so they're all home games. But that's just the one that sort of stuck out for me. But other than that, I mean, it does look, as our contributors have said, that it's not like there's any sort of what looks obviously like a nightmare run, or any sort of sequences where you're going, oh, ouch, I don't like the look of that. It does seem to be more sort of even-handed in that respect.
There is a little bit of cause for concern, so which I did flag up on Twitter myself. So, Adrissa Gay and Edelman and Dye could potentially miss up to 7 Premier League fixtures throughout December and January due to participation in the Africa Cup of Nations. So, I was having a conversation with Matt Jones about this, and he thinks it's probably only going to be 6. So the fixtures that I've said that they could miss are Chelsea away, Arsenal home, Burnley away, Nottingham Forest away, and then January ones, Brentford home, Wolves at home, and then Aston Villa away. And that's not even including any possible FA Cup or League Cup games as well. So, I mean, we know Gay's got to sign his contract, so he could potentially miss 38 games for Everton if he doesn't sign his contract.
That would be a bigger concern for me, yeah.
That would be a big concern. But obviously, 2 pivotal players, hoping we get the contract signed for Gay. But yeah, I mean, it's 6 or 7 games that they're going to miss. The only way that happens is if Senegal get to the final, by the way. So, you know, there's no guarantees.
Good chance, but they've got a good side, haven't they?
No guarantees.
Just see what they've done to England previously. It's a blow, and that's why we're going to have to beef up the squad, aren't we? That's why, obviously, going to have to sign quite a lot of players. You'd probably hazard a guess at maybe 8 or 10 coming through the door. Don't think that's... I'm exaggerating there, by the way. I'm sure David Moyes ideally is want to get 2 or 3, maybe even 4 through the door in a normal world, but that's not the case with so many players. 10 next week will have left the football club. And obviously you'd have to try and meet the 25-man squad now, don't you? And there's not many kids banging on the door at the academy level to beef up the squad anyway. So you're going to have to obviously go to your loan market and then get players through the door straight away. I'm sure we could all sit here and talk for hours in terms of which positions we should be aiming at. But we're going to have to sign the best part of 8-10 players over these next 5, 6, 7 weeks, and it's going to be interesting to see where that navigates. Where we can, if you're not relying on Illiman's eye for the week, then you can bring a Dwight McNeil and another player in, maybe a James McAtee, all these players that were linked to it. So you're not obviously relying on these types of players week in, week out, because we have been. Let's make no bones about it. It's just a guy and Illiman's eye were a big part of why Everton stayed up and had a successful end to the season. Beating some big teams away from home, as we've seen, Nottingham Forest, Newcastle, etc. Putting some really good performances. So, yeah, they're key players for Everton, but we need to get players on the same par as them. We can't just have... we're going to have to beef up the squad players, but we need to get players on the same level as Illiman's because we can't be relying on him every single week. He can pick up injuries, can have a drop in form. So it's important that we obviously beef up the squads with players over these next couple of weeks.
Just incorporate some transfer news, Chris, which I know you did a piece on. this past week. So Everton have been linked with Habib Diarra from Strasbourg, Senegalese player as well. Tony's talking about absolutely right. We've got to bring in players to beef up the squad. But if we're getting linked with Habib Diarra, who's, by all accounts a decent player, very good player, looking at a fee of over £20 million. But again, he's a player who is inevitably going to go to the Africa Cup of Nations.
Yeah, he's not going to help you. Yeah,
would that put you off as well because of the situation that we find ourselves in anyway?
Necessarily. Yeah, it's unfortunate, isn't it? Like I said, if you end up with three all in the same time, but no, it could hopefully it might work well if you did go for that sort of player, because he'd have compatriots, teammates from his international team who could help him settle in at Everton. If that was the case, I wouldn't be basing it on that. I know it's a consideration, but it's just the one tournament, and that's going to say in the 1 year. It's every other year, isn't it? But yeah, he looks a player, and he's another one. I did a piece on in passing last week, in the fact that obviously it was his shot that went through Dean Henderson's legs and then off his foot when he megged him at the City ground. And said if that had been Jordan Pickford, what would have been said. So we've been through all that, so I'm not going to go over old ground with all that. But yeah, I wouldn't be concerned in that respect. But yeah, it is something you've got to factor in if obviously they're all going at the same time.
It's worth bearing in mind as well. The opposition going to have players playing in the African Cup of Nations as well.
No, yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? We're playing Chelsea and Arsenal, Nottingham Forest, Wolves. They're all going to have African players playing over there as well. So it may play into our hands when we're playing teams and they're missing their star players as well. So I'm sure Liverpool could arguably say the same when they've got Mohamed Salah, etc. Obviously, they'll be missing him for a couple of games. So it evens itself out right throughout the squads, because I'm sure a lot of squads in this day and age now have got African players. Doesn't matter where they are, they will have African players in there, so it'll even itself out.
No, you're absolutely right, and I was going to bring that up, but my only other concern with it, if they get to the later stages of the competition, the final, whatever, it just seems to take a little bit out of those players. Certainly all the travelling that they've got to do, and when they come back, they're maybe not as sharp as what they were from the start of the season.
I think that's a myth.
Do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a big myth.
Do you think?
Yeah,
I remember obviously the season before, when using Mohamed Salah as an example, he dropped off considerably when he came back from the Africa Cup of Nations for Liverpool.
They're not on a jet suit plane with the knees behind the legs, do you know what I mean? They're on private jets.
Not like me.
They're on private jets lays out, do you know what I mean?
No, that's fair enough, but it's still the jet lag and the travelling and all that.
No chance. The way players now look after themselves, they're athletes, and you've seen lots of examples when players now, Premier League level, when they're going on holidays and they're working out during their holidays and they're posting pictures on their Instagram page. Yeah, it all might be for 15, 20 minutes for a bit of marketing. I know, don't get me wrong, they're probably having a couple of beers at the pool, but they're still working. They keep themselves fully fit. So, listen, look at it, just a guy with the miles on the clock he's done. He's probably covers every blade of glass more than anyone. And the age of him, the miles on the clock he's got. So, nothing like that would faze me. It's in terms of injury. And the biggest thing is that what we've got to replace them with, more than them coming back a little bit fatigued. I'd be more worrying about who we've got them to replace them with.
Okay, well, we'll see what happens. Someone flagged to me, or someone said, we're going to be missing Beto as well, but his country didn't qualify for the Africa Cup of Nations, so you're good at that.
We're covered. We're covered.
I guess the only other thing probably worth mentioning standout-wise, just the first ever Hill Dickinson Merseyside Derby is going to be obviously subject to change, but Saturday the 18th of April. So I guess one for your diary, one to look forward to, Chris.
Yeah, I think it was Theo Squires, one of our Liverpool writers, was saying how that you can be singing "You Lost the League at Hill Dickinson Stadium." It's one to look forward to, isn't it? It's a historic moment, just to have to see Everton preserve their pride with the last kick from an Everton player in a Merseyside derby at Goodison. You want to be getting off to a flyer down there on the Mersey waterfront, and also be an interesting one for all those rival fans who maybe said that stadium wasn't going to get built. The ones who said it was going to be the best stadium in the Championship, and like I said, who
are you referring to?
There's quite a few of them, because he seems to have a keen interest whenever we have a new stadium article up on the Echo website that said it's like moths to a flame. So it'd be interesting for a few of them to get inside and just take a look at that, because obviously should be a terrific occasion, hopefully.
So from a selfish point of view, I seen Liverpool and I seen April. I went, oof. But it's
What did you do?
I panicked because Grand National weekend is the 11th.
Right on that
yeah,
score.
so it's Everton are playing Brentford away on the Grand National Day, so I was okay with that. But yeah, Easter period is round about then as well, isn't it? April time. So yeah, the first derby at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. I'm sure it'll be a red hot atmosphere, and it'll be interesting to see the night games.
Could move to a night, couldn't it?
Yeah, could easily move to a night game, and it'd be historic, wouldn't it, for Liverpool fans to get a taste of what it's like to play in their in front of a world-class stadium.
I mean, hopefully we've more than settled in by then. At that point, I think just touching upon what you were talking about before, Goodison Park, it's always going to be remembered fondly, but it is a bit of a distant memory now already. Things have moved so quick already over the past couple of weeks and months, and I know the season's still a couple of weeks away yet, but it is literally all just systems go now for that. Well, the first away game, but obviously the first home game now as well.
I think July the 9th, I think the second round of games will get changed. So we'll know come July the 9th then if Everton play Brighton on the Saturday or the Sunday or the Friday.
He's made a few calls there.
Exactly. Yeah. He's already been all over.
Is that a Monday?
Who's getting the calendar off?
It's a Wednesday, that.
It's a Wednesday, yeah.
It's a Wednesday.
So you're panicking, yeah. So yeah, you wanted us of a Saturday, don't you, Ian?
Friday or Saturday would be perfect. Friday night football
game, yeah.
Or Saturday.
And you can jump on the plane, happy days.
Anything after 12 o'clock on a Saturday. So from the Sunday to the Monday, disaster. I potentially have to look at booking another flight. Wow. Don't think me missus.
Holidays being rescheduled.
Don't think me missus would be too happy for that. Wants to get on a plane by herself. Okay. Any final thoughts then before we get off? I guess we can start referring to the season just gone as last season now.
Yeah, it's gone now, isn't it?
The new season.
Yeah, that last season, next season, this term, all this, that, yeah.
I was excited telling me, like, my son, took my lad to school this morning. And he's obviously obsessed with football and everything. He's going, Dave, you got the opening game, and I obviously told him. He go, wow, he was just super excited.
Yeah.
And that's the next generation of Everton fans. He go, who are we playing at the Bramley Moor? And I went, Brighton, and he's go, wow, and he's super excited for. So there's a new wave of Evertonians now that won't have gone through the hell we've gone through in 30 years of watching Everton at Goodison. There's a new generation of Evertonians now with lots of optimism, with new owners, relatively a new manager second time round. We're going to have new players, a new kit. It's going to be a new era for the football club. And I'm so grateful for David Moyes coming in and raising the bar where, do you know what, we're competing, we're going out for these teams. He went there with a team that was fighting relegation to going out and beating Newcastle away, beating Fulham away, beating Forest away, all teams that were fighting towards the back end of last season, getting a point against the current champions. All this has set the tone now for the expectations for these next wave of Evertonians. I'm looking forward to it.
Spot on. Chris, any final thoughts then?
Yeah, just echo what To said there. I mean, it's going to be incredible, really, but you're going to have a new age of Everton, new era of Evertonians, a new, generation of Evertonians at one point. And all they'll ever know is the Hill Dickinson Stadium. Yeah. That's incredible. That, obviously, for the likes of ourselves and people who are a lot older than us, who've all they've ever known as Goodison Park, you've got those young ones now coming through, and that's all they'll know. Hopefully, like you said, it'll be a bigger, brighter Everton looking forwards rather than... Everton's got an incredible, unique history, but for far too long now, Evertonians have been forced to look backwards and reminisce on those glory days of the past. You want to be looking future and thinking what can happen going forward. So... did a piece in me Royal Blue column last week and was talking about this. David Moyes has come back, as you say, at this integral time in the club's history, pivotal moment, and hopefully now, finally, he's got the tools to sort of forge his, that legacy at Everton that he always deserved to have. It didn't quite happen for him first time round. Some of those things that were hampering him in that first spell, that they're not there anymore. So in terms of the stadium and with the owners, hopefully it can mean a bright future. I said rather than that looking back all the time. Our
last game of the season at the Bramley Moors, Sunderland's at home. Yeah. Lifting the league title there with our toffee donuts. Happy days.
Just one of the best aways I've ever been to is Sunderland, by the way. So I wouldn't mind trying to get a ticket for that as well. By the way, that's an early one, isn't it? Or a relatively November. 1st of November.
It could be quite cold up there at that time of the year.
Well, it's going to be cold by the Bramley Moor as well, that time of year, isn't it?
It was for the first test event, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Freezing.
So make sure you wrap up warm. Okay, well, just a reminder that we are going to be back on Friday with the Friday show. So I think it's going to be me, it's going to be Joe Thomas, as well as Gav Buckland, all back in the Royal Blue studio. That is all for today's show. Please remember to give us a like and subscribe to the channel. Drop us some 5-star reviews on Apple and Spotify. Most importantly, enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your week. I've been Ian Kroll, joined by Chris Beasley and Tony Scott, and this has been the Royal Blue Podcast.